Attack on Titan is by far one of the best animes out there. It is also compared to be the Game of Thrones of anime. And as everything that becomes popular, you will eventually have social justice latch onto it. Unfortunately for them, Attack on Titan is made in Japan, so the socialists and far-left ideologues masquerading as bloggers and culture critics really have no power and influence over this show. And while at first they found the show to be problematic, and I'll cover why that is in a bit, the recent episodes have made them absolutely livid. And the reason is that it shows social justice with its mask off. It shows how the oppressed can become the oppressors, and how using an ideology that demonizes people for crimes they didn't commit, which happened way before they were born, done by their ancestors, can lead to acts of unimaginable cruelty simply for no other reason that a person was born wrong. So as you can imagine, the people at Polygon don't like this very much. Now, I will tell you a little bit about the plot in case you're not into anime and you're not interested in watching this, which is only 30 or 40 episodes, so you really have no excuse for not watching it. Now, I'm not spoiling anything, I'm just telling you the setting so you can understand what it's about and maybe pique your interest, so you can still stay for a little bit. The show focuses around the monsters called as Titans, which are giant humanoid figures ranging between 30 and 15 meters, which lack reproductive organs. Although they do not appear to need food, they instinctively attack and eat humans on sight. It's also interesting that they seem to ignore any other animal or fauna, and they don't seem to eat the humans for nourishment, as they don't even have a proper digestive tract. So it's really a mystery of why they do it, as no one managed to communicate with them. They are also near impossible to kill, and even if someone manages to damage a limb or take away a body part of a Titan, it will just regenerate. So because of this, humanity managed to retreat itself in one city that is protected by 3 walls. And the humans which are alive today have no idea of what's outside the walls or even have memory of how life for their ancestor was before the walls were erected. So the story focuses, number one, on exploration as humans try to figure out what the Titans are and if there is any other life outside the city. But also it focuses on politics and interpolitical drama between the nobles, the rich, the wealthy, versus the other people who are just expendable. And this is why you have this low IQ article coming up by saying that Attack on Titan is fascist. Because you see, for a socialist, any type of hierarchy, any type of control, well, that's fascism. In reality, if monsters would exist and they would attack the United States, you would already have martial law and the United States would be more militaristic and certain civil rights would be restricted. So, to me, it's not mind-boggling that in this situation, in this scenario, yeah, the police and the military police are the ones calling the shots, considering that humanity is at everlasting war with these monstrous creatures. But it's not only that, it's not even fascism, it's actual feudalism. Like, the system is controlled by a royal family with a king, and it's obvious to anyone who studied even a month of history that this political system is called a monarchy. But, you know, you got anime journalists that I guess need to give their 2 cents on what is and what isn't fascism. But now I'm going to give major spoilers, alright? So if you find this interesting and you want to see this for yourself, please watch the anime first and then come back. But otherwise, I will tell you why this actually makes fun of social justice and why people at Polygon are absolutely livid and they just can't believe that this show is allowed to exist. You see, turns out that the people in that particular city are part of an ethnicity called the Eldians. And the Eldians had a queen a couple of hundreds of years ago, which apparently made a deal with the devil in order to gain access to the Titan powers. And after she died, all of the Eldians can become a Titan. But what's interesting about this is that they find out they're only living on an island the size of Madagascar, while outside the island, the world has technologically advanced and has moved on without them. Outside the island, there is another ethnicity of people called the Marleyans. And the Marleyans are very similar to the people from Nazi Germany. And they're pushing this ideology which says that in the past, the Eldians have used the Titans in order to commit ethnic genocide against the Marleyans. And the Eldians then went through a civil war where half of them decided to move to the island and isolate themselves from the rest of the world, while the other half remained on the continent. And the Marleyans then had an uprising and managed to defeat the Eldians and lock them up in internment camps. So the Marleyans are now using the Eldians for their military purposes because they can actually turn them into Titans and just release them upon their enemies. And this is a very effective tactic because so far no one has actually managed to defeat them, and the Marleyans are actually one of the superpowers within the Attack on Titan universe. However, because technology manages to advance and people have developed better warfare, better artillery, they now have planes, the Marleyans realize that their power is soon going to be challenged as the Titans are just not enough to face off against an opponent that has access to the air. So they want to invade the island of the Eldians because that island has a lot of oil. So what's really interesting about this is that it shows how the Marleyans, even though claiming they're the victims and that their ancestors were allegedly genocided, the show makes it unclear if it's true or not, but they use that as a justification in order to commit the worst type of possible atrocities to the Eldians. They treat them like the Nazis treated the Jewish people by forcing them to wear armbands, by locking them in concentration camps, and they keep them just as ammunition to throw towards their enemies. And there is this really interesting aspect in the show in one episode. There's two kids who want to go out and they want to see a Zeppelin. So they leave their internment camps and they're caught by the guards. And the guards beat one of them senseless, while the other one, the sister of the kid, is being taken away in order to be returned to her parents. However, she never comes back to her parents, and the guard is just dismissing the issue, saying that he shouldn't be the one looking out for kids, they should stay in the internment camp and never leave, and the father should teach the son about the crimes that his ancestors committed. At which point the father just checks his privilege, realizes that the officer is right, stops asking questions about his daughter, and starts educating the son about the horrible crimes that the Eldians committed towards the Marleyans hundreds of years ago. Later on, it's found out that the guard actually fed the sister to the dogs. He was enjoying the spectacle of dogs tearing people up. Was really sadistic. So, as you can imagine, people from social justice don't really like that, because one of their main talking points is how horrible white people are because of things they did in the past, and how white people need to check their privilege and, be good allies and shut the fuck up. So, even if this show has really strong female characters, in fact, some of the most powerful and influential characters in the show are women, and they're done pretty well, by the way, like none of them is a Mary Sue or anything. You don't see them say, oh yeah, this is feminism, oh yeah, like this is so amazing, it has such strong women. No, because if they were to advertise to the people that are into social justice the show, it would probably get them to think, and they would be like, maybe it is not really okay to judge people based on an ethnicity. Maybe it's not really okay to blame people for the horrors of the past that they didn't commit. Like, maybe, just maybe, if we point our finger towards an entire ethnicity and blame them for the mistakes of the ancestors, we become the villains, and the oppressed can always turn into the oppressors if you tip the scales too much. Like, these are some questions that they don't want people to ask. So it's no surprise that this article comes from Polygon, stating that the fascist subtext of Attack on Titan can't go overlooked. What I really love about social justice is that they will defend art, no matter how grotesque. Like, if you have a kid like Desmond Desmond is amazing, dancing in gay bars. They consider that to be art, and it's free expression, so it should be allowed. If you have a shit, an actual human feces placed in a museum, they consider that art, and they consider it to be amazing, and it should not be banned. But the moment there is a piece of art that makes fun of social justice in a way or gets people to think in a way they don't want, well, that's problematic, all right? And it can't go overlooked. And what I also find interesting about social justice is that they really love foreign cultures. They can't stop talking about how much they love other cultures and how much they appreciate pretty much anything that is not from a native English speaking nation. But the moment other cultures don't fit in with social justice, the moment other cultures have like different points of view, they start attacking that particular culture, which is what happens with anime. Right? Like they got nothing against Japan, and they will talk about how having a kimono is cultural appropriation and how you should be sensitive to the people from Japan. But the moment Japan has like some anime that has some titties, or they have some politics that they don't like, they freak out and they write articles like this garbage. And towards the end, they unironically try to connect the rise of hate groups like authoritarianism and nationalism on the rise because of anime. I'm not making this up. Like, they're literally trying to tie, I don't know, some extremist neo-Nazi organization to the fact that anime exists. Like, if anime wouldn't exist, I guess there wouldn't be authoritarians in the world. Yeah, I'm pretty sure Hitler used to watch anime. Oh, no, wait, he was watching Disney. That's actually a thing. Like, Hitler was a big fan of Disney. But anyway, right, so what I want to say is that I don't think anime is really that great, but I think in comparison to the rest of the cartoons and even TV shows that are out there, yeah, anime is pretty fucking cool, you know, because when the comparison is call arts, and the really childish humor that people from the left are doing, and all the social justice talking points that they're infesting the Western art with, yeah, people want something else. And it's not that necessarily a lot of people don't like social justice, because, no, there's plenty of people who do, but they're just bored of it. Like, literally every single thing that you watch nowadays needs to have some form of social justice into it, and it gets boring. You know, Anita Sarkeesian was talking about tropes. Yeah, like, I'm sick and tired of seeing social justice tropes in every single game I play, in every single movie I watch, in every single book that I consume. You know, like, I get it. I understand your talking points, but can we move on to something else? And when something else comes from another culture like Japan, they really live it because, like, holy shit, we can't control this, and people need to be aware, because today you're watching Attack on Titan, tomorrow you might be on the streets. You know, like, that's literally their ideology. So, do let me know what you think. Looking forward to hearing from you guys in the comment section. And since YouTube is not recommending my videos anymore, it does help when you share them around, you spread out the word, and you're telling me, like, look, this Romanian guy might be onto something.